Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meetup session. It's the first meetup session of 2022. We thought we would be over the uncertainty of this pandemic, but obviously, the virus had some other plans, and we are still stuck in our homes, wondering what's going to happen and how things are going to be. But anyway, we thought we'd start off 2022, in a positive note and try and get use sessions or try and get experiences that will be a little helpful to all of you. We tried to get some feedback from you on how we can run these meetups a little bit more effective and a little bit more meaningful for our members. And we've grown actually by I think about 15 to 20% in the last month or so. With new memberships coming in, our attendance on these meetings tend to waver. So hopefully 2022 we'll see a lot more attendance, and we can already see that with the first session. So without much ado, we'll start with what we always do. We'll start off with a small icebreaker. So now I think now that the ice is broken and we know, we warmed up to each other, we've understood who we are as people. I'd like to, go into our session and introduce Shweta. Shweta Ocha is a LinkedIn coach and consultant. She's actually spent a lot of time understanding the system, understanding how the platform works. She's helped about 10,000 individuals and about 50 professionals across small and medium businesses, freelancers, owners of small businesses and startups, freelancers, and even small people who are looking to build their personal brand on LinkedIn. And she's also she builds an offline community for LinkedIn called LinkedIn Local Thane. I don't think we have that in Bangalore, or I'm not sure. Maybe Shweta, you can tell us about that. But LinkedIn Local is something that she runs. She believes that a personal brand is not created, just by chance. It's a conscious effort, and it's a consistent effort that needs to be followed, needs to be tested and understood step by step. It's a step by step process that needs to be followed. If not, you tend to lose track of it and tend to lose how important it is. She's the mother of, she's a proud mother of two teenage boys, and she's very enthusiastic. Although she slept through Transformers, but I'm sure she enjoys spending time with them. She's a ex-marathon runner. She loves to trek, and she is somebody who is somebody who we can really learn a lot from, and which is why we thought we should reach out to her and ask her to come and do a session for us. We are obviously going to record this session and use it in different ways. So Shweta, I hope you're okay with that. And please do, for all the participants here, please do ask your questions. I think, Shweta, if you permit me, allow them to ask it during the session so that it's fresh in their mind rather than keeping it towards the end of the session. We'll obviously have some time for Q&A after that as well. So after she's finished her content that she has to present to you, you can always continue and ask questions to her later on as well. So without further ado, Shweta, over to you.
Thank you, Bhumika, and thank you. How do you pronounce your name? If I pronounce
Reuben.
Reuben.
Okay. Thank you, Reuben, and thank you, Bhumika. What I loved about this whole thing is the detailing of organizing this meetup. I mean, I guess two sessions we had in terms of how do we curate this, etc., and the follow-ups by Bhumika. So amazing it is. The efforts, members who are present here, I will applaud the efforts that are put up by the community leads here. Not many people for a small community put up so much of effort. So really, we should really clap for that. My introduction has been given largely, but there is more and much to every individual here. What I want to specifically touch upon here is I have, since I was told it's a small room, I have not uh, gotten any presentation per se, because I wanted it to be more conversational. I assume most of you are creators here, so I would quickly, in say about 30 seconds, wrap up a professional introduction of all of you in the room, so that I understand where you're coming from. Partha, can we start with you?
Yeah, yeah. I am a communications professional, and I have around almost 2 decades of experience in various aspects of communication, external, internal, also PR, and also branding in different organizations, private, non-profit. Uh, and I, apart from this, I also love writing. So I write for a global newspaper on sports, which is totally different from my area of work. I write for Formula One sports and auto sports. That's my favorite pastime, and also traveling is my favorite pastime. So this all is under my professional introduction.
Partha, I have just one pointed question. You are currently a consultant or an employee?
No, I'm not an employee. I'm just a consultant. I'm just writing for this Spain-based newspaper uh, out of passion. They don't pay me.
Okay, so anything that you do for your earning,
Right now, nothing.
you're contemplating on doing something?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Others, please, can you quickly introduce yourself? Lisa?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hi,
anybody.
Shweta. This is Harika. I am the HR professional, and I come back with 15 years of experience in HR. But being in HR, we do a lot of communication internally, posting a lot of intranet communication, in internal groups and all. So I come with a strong HR background and do a lot of articles written, and how do we project certain engagement activity done. It could be anything. So I would like to always have that passion for writing, to present certain thing in a very different way, and having that passion for me has joined this community. So that's me.
Brilliant. Lisa?
Yeah, so I would say currently my profession is that of a learning solutions consultant. So I work with multinational corporate organizations across the world to design online training programs for them. I have 18 years of experience. I've just recently quit my last role as a president of the company that I was working at and a solution consultant role. And I'm currently in the process of setting up my own company along with my husband.
Now,
So,
as far as learning solutions are concerned, is it restricted to soft skills, or is it also, it encompasses the technical training as well?
yeah, so it's cross-functional. Basically, we work with the subject matter experts at the different organizations to put together the content and then the training. So I don't have any specific content expertise. My expertise is in learning solution design.
Okay. So basically, the structure is what you would be.
The whole thing, yeah, the entire training experience, the structure, the content, and then in my company, we used to develop the training as well. We had a visual design team, a programming team that would develop the training as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And Kalpana, I guess Kalpana is left, right?
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Okay. Professionally, I have been into public relations, events, and branding for last 16 years. However, for the last 4 5 years, I've been traveling a lot. I had to shift countries, and unfortunately had to quit my full time job. So was wondering what next. I mean, because in another country, it's not so easy to get any employment pass and start work. So I started content there. So technically last 4-5 years I've been into content writing, and I've co-authored a book. And yes, I'm a hardcore movie buff. So apart from my professional career, which is like into hardcore corporate world, I'm also into movie curation and curating movie based programs and shows and stuff like that. So I run my currently I'm working on one of the shows which is into celebrating music and memories together. And apart from that, came back to Mumbai, came back to India for 5 months back, and currently I'm working with a entertainment marketing firm as a consultant on a project. So but yes, I mean, once you step out, once you move out of the set career, it's very difficult to come back. And yes, I'm still grappling and still finding my way out, but I like to wear multiple hats and I enjoy doing that.
Thank you guys for a wonderful introduction. Reuben, quickly, can we have your introduction as well?
All right. So professionally, I am a marketing, communications, and branding expert. I run a small or a boutique consultancy called Rato Communications, and we do a lot of content marketing work, a lot of brand development work, and recently we've just announced our employer branding services. So we also focus on that. So in short, that's about me. And over the last 15 to 16 years, I've been working in different organizations in different marketing and communications roles.
So I'm getting a little jittery now. A lot of branding and marketing people, and I'm supposed to speak about personal branding. So I hope I make some sense out of it. Very quickly in the chat, can you put answers to these questions? Number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself positioned on LinkedIn as of now? Very quickly, please. We are running out of time. Reuben 6, Kalpana 4, Bhumika 1, Lisa 3. And Partha, what about you? Okay, 5. That's great. So we have an average of, say, a 5 or a 4, if I may call it. Also, I want to ask you one question. Which platform, if you are creators, this is a creator community, so which platform do you create as of now, leverage most? It can be, you're more active on, okay, Canva. Okay, my question is with social media.
Social media, okay.
Yeah. Facebook, okay. Instagram, LinkedIn, okay. Okay. Now, I have received certain questions beforehand, and I would try to address those questions in my talk. Uh, First and foremost is when it comes to personal branding in general, clarity is very important. Clarity with respect to how you perceive yourself, how others perceive you, and how you want others to perceive yourself as. These are the three fundamental questions that I would urge you to ponder upon, get answers for. A very quick way of doing that I tell my clients also as one of the tasks that I give is pick up 5 people from your personal and professional domain, preferably 3 from the, if we are taking LinkedIn as the context here, 3 from the professional domain and 2 from the personal domain. It can be more than 5, but 5 is minimum that I would request. Don't get into a chat or an email. Pick up the phone and ask 2 pointed questions. There has to be no highs and hellos and background story around it. 2 pointed questions. The question number 1 is, what is your general perception about me? Now this task will actually unfold a lot of things. So I would request you to note down this question: what is your general perception about me? So if you want to pose that, people will ask why you are asking blah blah blah, you can say simply that there's a survey which has come up and I have to get the answers of these two questions. As simple as that. So what is your general perception about me? The second question is, what should I do differently to achieve success in my life? Okay, and try and get these 5 people from different, stages of your life, from different fields, so that you get a versatile feedback. Pick up these people who are brutally honest with you, and who have the courage to give you honest answers. And you have to make sure that while you're putting up the question, you have to make sure that just forget about everything, you have to give me honest answers. More often than not, what this exercise will do to you, I'll come to the personal branding on LinkedIn, but this is most important, that the clarity has to be in place. What happens with LinkedIn is people treat that as a social media platform, and there they go wrong. The moment you start treating LinkedIn as the world's largest professional networking platform, then you think all about how you're positioning yourself, you think all about how you're projecting yourself, etc. Now,
Sorry, could you repeat the second question so I can just put it in the chat?
yes, what should I do differently to achieve success in my life?
Okay.
Okay. Now, just collate the answers that you have received. More often than not, two things will happen. What we perceive, what we think others are perceiving about us is largely an assumption. We never go and ask people, and even if we ask, we never get very honest answers, because it's how you are asking, it makes that difference. So rather than keeping on assuming that, okay, this is how people are perceiving me, it's good to do this exercise to get clarity. Now, what happens as a result of this exercise is, suppose you're perceiving yourself as this, and the result is somewhere this. You understand that how, you have to work on your projection to actually achieve this. At times, you might be perceiving yourself as this, and, people are perceiving you really high, and you are underplaying yourself. So this exercise will bring in a lot of clarity. Also, what is your general perception about me, the feedback that you get, you also understand, okay, this is the persona that I'm reflecting right now, and is it in sync with what I really want to do? So you get a lot of clarity with respect to how you're perceiving yourself, how others are perceiving, and basis which you formulate a strategy in terms of how you want them to perceive you as. For instance, I started my career at the age of 41. Before that, I had never worked. I was a dedicated Marwadi homemaker. Now, when I started working, it happened accidentally. I got an opportunity. They perceived me that, okay, we see a lot of potential in you. Why don't you give yourself a chance? And since they were, after me, I thought that somebody is willing to invest in me. I should give myself a chance. When in 2016, I created my LinkedIn account, trust me, a homemaker for more than 20 plus years, absolutely no work experience in that domain of, highly domesticated environment, and then coming into highly professional environment, it was scary, to say the least. And I had no clue in terms of how am I supposed to project myself as a professional, right? Obviously, the first 2 years, everything wrong that I'm now preaching, I did on LinkedIn. And similarly, most of the LinkedIn users who just hop on, create an account, and start building without putting the right strategies in place. Now, you also must be having a LinkedIn account, I'm sure, at least. So this is the time to, kind of strategically looking at how you are going to perceive and project yourself. I received a question from you guys, from the community, that is personal branding important, and where to start, how it is important. I guess this was the question, right? Or who needs to do the personal branding? Now, any individual, whether you consciously build your personal brand or not, your personal brand is there. जैसे हम लोगों ने अभी आइस ब्रेकर में कहा था कि wherever I go, my why goes with me. So this is a general perception that is formed around you, a persona that is formed around you. Now, what personal branding exercise does is you consciously design that and build on that rather than leave it for people to build it for you. This is the whole idea of building a personal brand. LinkedIn can be just one way of doing it, and most powerful way of doing it, being a professional and a creator. But generally, when we look at personal branding, be it LinkedIn or be it anywhere else, this is the thought process that you should begin with. This is the foundation that you should start with. So personal branding, to answer the question, personal branding is for every individual. Leave apart professional or no. Even if you look at the homemakers around you, you will see a brand, individually coming out of each homemaker. Now, this is a brand which may not have been built consciously, but it is there. So do you like that brand built by someone for you, or you would want to consciously build on it? So this is the answer, that yes, you need, if you can, or if you, as a professional, I would say you should invest in consciously building your personal brand. Now, the second question is where to start and how important it is. So I have already answered in terms of how important it is. It is very, very important. The reason being is personal branding builds, the first step of personal branding is you get visibility. Now, visibility does not mean being famous. By visibility, I mean getting the right eyeballs, attracting the kind of audience that you want to attract. So that eventually this visibility, consciously keeping on churning content, keeping on engaging, keeping on building, you eventually build credibility. So first step of building a personal brand is building visibility. For building visibility, LinkedIn is a very powerful platform to do that. Specifically, even if whatever niche or sub niche that you're operating in, you will still find a whole lot of people on LinkedIn who can follow you and who can actually help you, reach that level of uh, personal brand presence, if I may call it, to be to build that credibility that you want to see for yourself. Once you're visible, once you've gathered that credibility as a subject matter expert, as a service provider, as an entrepreneur, whatever that brand that you want to build, as an educator, then comes the stage of profitability. So what wrong that most people I see doing is they hop onto LinkedIn or anything, they start churning the content, hire some content writers, and without any direction, without any strategy, without any goal, without any personal voice. Like if you are building a brand for a product, you will not do the same. Now here you yourself are a product, and you are not paying attention to the details of how your brand is looking like, in terms of, is it asymmetrical across platforms? Your voice is getting, if someone comes up and speaks to you, does the person resonate with whatever content that he or she has read on the platform? Or it is completely opposite, you're a completely different person otherwise. So are you projecting the authentic you, brand you, on the medium, is something that is very, very important to actually build that credibility. So to answer the question is, once there was one question that was raised, is how does it influence lead generation? Now, if I am visible with my target audience, I am sharing a lot of content, adding a lot of value in terms of educating, entertaining, whatever method that I want to add value to my audience. Eventually, my audience will start resonating with me, following me, and understanding that if I have to do something like this, the message is clear, I have to do something like this, this is the go-to person. For instance, after this session, if you believe that, okay, when it comes to LinkedIn, Shweta's name, pops up, that means I have served my purpose. That means I have built my brand as a LinkedIn coach and consultant. So I become the go-to person for this. For instance, if say learning solutions that you would want to build your company around. Now, if you are sharing anecdotes, case studies, reasoning, your ideas, thoughts, emerging as a leader, as a thought leader in that domain on LinkedIn, definitely a lot of people are going to reach out to you. Okay, what exactly that you offer, and how can you perhaps help me? This is where you've crossed the visibility and the credibility stage, and you are eventually coming off coming on to the profitability stage. The moment you start on LinkedIn and left, right, and center reaching out to people and sending these cold emails, I do this, I do this, I do this, this is where we go wrong. We want to hop into the profitability faster without building the credibility. So this is something that I would want you all to pay attention to. When it comes to LinkedIn, is there anything anyone wants to ask just before I go technical on LinkedIn? Or so far it's very theoretical. Anything that's making sense to you guys till now?
Yes, Shweta, I have one quick question. So you said visibility is very important. But for me personally, I being such a experience, I talk a lot and I have that approach. I'd never, but I somehow I take a back step by posting something which I got credited, or I've got some accomplishments, some award. I really feel shy, or do you really think that which is what really I have to gear up on that front, because I do a lot of research in my area of work, but I really hesitate to post it on LinkedIn. I don't know why.
See, as far as posting your accomplishments is concerned, if you as a personality wants to kind of not come out and project yourself like totally you're shying out. Right now you may be, but eventually as you keep on sharing content on LinkedIn, eventually you would not have this inhibition at all, Harika. But to answer your question right now, if you are shying away from sharing your accomplishments, ask yourself this question: would it help to in your personal branding journey? If you're sharing your accomplishments, would it help? If that would help, definitely by all means you should go ahead and do it, because no one else will.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what happens is, when we are, see, there is a very thin line between self praise and personal branding, and people kind of misunderstand this. If you are adding so suppose in 7 days, if I'm talking 6 days about LinkedIn tips, tricks, I'm helping out people, sharing case studies, stories which are relatable to individuals, and they can take cues from there and implement on their LinkedIn profile or LinkedIn journey or personal branding as a whole. And on the 7th day I talk about, hey, this is a masterclass that I'm doing, and if you think that it'll be worthwhile for you, this is the link, and please go ahead. And would it harm anyone? Would anyone think that I'm like soliciting clients, or I'm tom-tomming? No. It depends on how you are doing things. There are people who, in the name of personal brand, every day just post about, I was speaking here, I was speaking there, I was co-authoring this book, I was doing this, I was. When it is over the top, definitely it's going to create this perception. So personal branding is the game of perception, how people are talking about you when you are not in the room. Now, if the way I work on is, whatever that I would want for myself, I try and do it for the others as well, for my clients, for anybody who reaches out to me for help. Now, the best way of building a personal brand is be very authentic. Because the moment you kind of, if you restrain yourself from bearing out, then you will always struggle, like Harika said, you will keep on struggling, ye to post karu nahi karu, ye acha lagega nahi lagega. But if you come out of that inhibition and bear yourself with all your flaws, with all your achievements, and be proud. And if you see, go and check out my profile, it says own your story. And this is the toughest task to my mind in the personal branding journey, to own your story. The small gaps that you have in your career, the small setbacks, the startup failures, these are the things that people kind of want to brush under the carpet, want to not talk about it, that they think that this is going to make them not credible. But these are things that are human, and that actually helps you relate with other human, and you build a followership. The more authentic you are, the more sustainable will be your personal brand. So to my mind, you should always think about, this is my opportunity to get me out of the comfort zone and reach out to the people. Now, how will that be possible? That will be possible if you go with an intent of not building a personal brand, but with an intent of helping other individuals like you. So if I take this first step, and if I talk about things, then definitely, there are a lot of other people who would be okay, agar ye baat kar sakta hai, agar ye baat kar sakti hai, तो I can also talk. This is one help. If you are helping in a specific domain, then definitely your expertise, which can cost so much money to people, if your expertise free of cost sharing on LinkedIn can help or benefit a lot of people, definitely it's going to be worthwhile, right? Am I making sense? Does that answer your question, Harika?
Absolutely, Shweta. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a question: where do you draw the line between personal and professional when you share information on your LinkedIn profile? I've come across many posts by many people where it's talking about the personal brand or just random advice. So, guys, just give me a sec. Just switch on the lights. So, when it comes to personal and professional definitely should take 80% of your content sharing on LinkedIn, 80% of your conversation on LinkedIn, because it's a professional networking platform. What happens and why do people share personal stuff is, they kind of, as I said earlier in my conversation, they kind of, do that to either motivate people to do certain things, take certain actions. See, if I can do it, you can do it too. If this has happened with me, it can happen with anybody. So, they take this opportunity of LinkedIn to kind of help people come out of their shackles and motivate them in certain way. Their personal stories with respect to, okay, this is the experience that I had, be guarded, and I want to share this so that you don't go through the similar experience. So it's kind of a review of sorts, in a way. Now, what happens when people share personal? When you are sharing content, when you are focusing on sharing content with respect to who your target audience is, and then you are doing a very niche driven task. So you're going deeper and deeper in terms of attracting your target audience towards you. But when you're sharing these personal stories, you're also building a lateral audience. So what happens is, suppose, to give you an example, I want to work with startup founders, and I'm targeting a lot of my content with respect which resonates with them. So most of the time, I'm hypothetically, if I'm talking about all these aspects of how startup founders can leverage LinkedIn with respect to building their personal brand, how their personal brand will elevate their company brand, etc., etc. And one fine day, I also talk about my personal experience with one of my startup client, or I talk about some personal experience of how I juggled with some inhibitions to build my personal brand. What will happen? Now, people in other domain who are not startup founders will also relate with this content, because it is generic in nature, it's personal in nature, it's more human. Now, their connections, the outreach will be more, and I will be able to tap some startup founders from there also, because they will look at my profile and they'll look at my other content pieces, and they will see, okay, this girl, she talks a lot about how startup founders can benefit from LinkedIn, or how professionals can benefit on LinkedIn. So as a matter of fact, sharing personal information at times is good to build trust amongst people as a human. Now, rest of the time when you're sharing professional expertise, professional content, you're building credibility around you as a professional. But as a human being, can I trust you? And people will buy you before they buy your product or service, and that's the reason that you have to do these exercises sometimes, to kind of bare yourself and put yourself out there, so that people start trusting you. Am I making sense so far? If there is any specific thing with respect, see, I can talk about, this is how your profile should look like. These are the, do you want me to go ahead with that, or do you want this conversation to go on the way it is?
I think, Shweta, it may help to also give us the, maybe 5 things that we need to do on LinkedIn to be successful. But I think the space that you're talking about in terms of the basics of personal branding is also helpful. And I think what we are, I mean, as content creators struggle with is because we are constantly creating content for other people. It's difficult for us, or it is a sort of a different situation for us when we have to look at it for ourselves and when we have to start creating it for ourselves. So that is that internal struggle that most of us
This is the
sort of
struggle
deal with.
that you need to talk about, Reuben.
I just have to have I have one question here.
Yeah, Kalpana.
Shweta, as you are saying that, we should be talking about our achievements, correlating with the professional targets met, etc. Now, how much is too much when we talk about ourselves? I mean, even if I'm talking about something that, my strength is this, or, I give an example, or I give a anecdote or something, I can relate with Harika when she's saying that, I'm not shy. I'm not shy by nature. But when it comes to saying, listen, I did this, or I achieved this, coming into a content, it gets very difficult. So when I'm writing a content, or when I'm self branding,
See, this only happens, sorry to interject, Kalpana, this only happens when you are not owning your story. Somewhere there is a gap there. Once you're owning your story, and if you're proud of your accomplishments, you will say without boasting. So you can put out candidly, this is something that I did, and I'm really grateful for this achievement. Now there are very many ways of doing it. You may not be posting it as a post. You can put it in your featured section. You can also put it in your experience media. Okay, where people can check out your accomplishments and see your credentials there. But you may not, if you're shying away posting about it, that's perfectly fine. There are very many ways, other ways of doing things also.
Okay.
But yes, you should talk about, because there's nobody else who's going to talk about you in the beginning, at least. And how much is too much, to answer that question specifically with respect to LinkedIn, I would say that you should at least have 70% of the content with respect to your professional expertise, and 30% you can have anecdotes from your personal space, which again adds value to your audience in some way or the other. Now when it comes to a professional experience also, to answer Ruben's question, to answer your question, and everybody in the room, suppose hypothetically, Ruben, you are talking about content writing. Now, what you should be writing, as you rightly mentioned, the struggle. Now, when you're writing for clients, those conversations, try and find food for thought for your content from there. What are their questions? Now, most of the time, the questions that they pose you can become content pieces for you. Now, these content pieces will be so personal in nature that will become instantly relatable to the audience. Because if I want to hire a content writer, or if I'm struggling writing content myself, those things, will be easily relatable to me. The point I'm trying to make here is, rather than talking about, okay, how a brand voice should be, or how brand color palettes should be designed. This is all available on Google. Why should a person follow you? They want to see your version of it. They want to see your perspective about it. They want to see your experience on it. So it works two ways. You're educating while building your credibility. So if I have to talk about LinkedIn, go ahead and do this, do this, do that, do that. Vis-a-vis, if I at times I can be direct in my post, I'm not saying that. But if once in a while I talk about, okay, I had a conversation with one of my clients and this was the challenge and this is how you should look at it. I'm still talking about how to design your headline, but I'm sharing a personal anecdote here. Do you understand where I'm getting at? So all
Got
your
it.
client queries can become an instant source of your content creation feed or content bucket, if I may call it, because
Okay.
this is something that people will find instantly relatable. Now you can further categorize that. Okay, uh, in your discovery calls, what kind of questions that are asked? In your stage 2, what kind of questions are asked? Stage 3, what kind of questions are asked? And basis which you can have separate buckets. You can pick and try and address certain pain points of your audience that manner. So you, rather than talking about okay how automation works, I can talk about how I've helped the client achieve blah 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 success by automating this. This is something that I experimented with, which got success. Now what am I suggesting is, I'm giving an idea. The person can come to me and hire me, or simply go ahead and implement this idea. So I'm adding value anyhow, but it also serves the purpose of establishing me as a credible person. Do I make sense here? Everybody understands?
Yeah,
Now,
got it.
now I'll very very quickly take you through to the LinkedIn. I am not very familiar with how Google Meet works, but I will try my hands.
Are you going to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen? How do I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm more familiar with Zoom than this, so bear with me till the time I actually figure out. Can you guys see the LinkedIn screen by any chance?
Yes, Shweta.
Just go up to the tab of LinkedIn.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, now we can see it.
brilliant.
So you may not be able to see us, but we can see the screen.
Please, आप बोलते रहिएगा so that I have a clarity. Now, a couple of things
Yeah.
that I want you to focus on with respect to LinkedIn, with the clarity that I spoke about. You have to be very clear in terms of who you are. So I will take an example here. Say, Ruben, who are the clients that you commonly work with?
Small and medium business owners, some startup founders.
Large niche. Can you narrow it down a little?
So early stage startup founders. Let's focus on that.
Okay. So early age startup founders is your TG that we are looking at. Now, when designing your profile, you have to make sure that if you were an early age startup looking at this Ruben's profile, would it appeal to you? Number one. Number two, if it appeals, would that be influential enough for the person to get in touch with you? Am I making sense? These are the fundamental questions everybody in the room should look at when they design their profile. I can get into the technicalities of headlines and keywords and blah, blah, blah. But the foundation is here. Who is your target audience? Now, when I'm asking who is your target audience, again, currently whom you have interacted with, whom you have had conversations with, your prospects, your potential clients, your current clients, those conversations will come handy in terms of understanding what they are seeking. Now, what they are seeking, you have to translate into a really, really influential profile so that it answers most of their questions. And it appears that, okay, this is the go-to person that I have to, immediately DM or send a message. Now, you have to be very specific with respect to, like, if Harika says, I am a little, I'm a personality who would want to make an impact, but I'm not so loud. Now, you can actually showcase that, and same is the case with me. So I don't have a loud banner here which says, okay, I was, मेरी इतनी इतनी जगह पे मैंने बोला है, इतने इतने speak sessions लिए हैं, इतना ये किया है. I am not saying any of it because this is me. It can be I have changed this multiple times, but yeah, it depends on you. Someday I might get into the zone where I would want to, share or have a profile which is pretty loud and boisterous in terms of my accomplishments. But till that time, I want to remain with this. There is a feature which I have not yet implemented, but you guys can go ahead. I'll show you. And this is a pretty powerful and a very recent version. I'll just, share. If you guys are active or not active on LinkedIn, this is something that you can leverage. If you're good at speaking, this 30-second elevator pitch will be really powerful for anyone to kind of, get in touch with you, because they can get to feel you. So do you see how you can have a 30-second video here apart from the photograph? This is a new feature that has been introduced.
With a decade-long corporate experience.
So you should, to my mind, leverage, and this is something that you should have as if you're having a conversation with your target audience. उस तरह से आपको वो project करना है, so that the person understands, okay, you are talking to me. Because when you're writing your profile or refining or retuning your profile, you should have that, and you should have the reader in mind. The reader is seeing you, as I said earlier, you should step into their shoes and look at your profile. Now, keywords do play an important role with respect to searchability. Now, I tell you certain things. How much time do we have, Bhumika?
I think another 10 minutes.
So I'll quickly touch upon the few beginning aspects of, where did I go? My screen is still visible?
Yes, it's still visible.
Okay, great. So very quickly, I'll touch upon some pointers which you can use to begin with. As I said earlier, clarity with respect to how you want to perceive yourself. Now, there is another for this 30-second video also, and for headline also, and all across your profile. Reuben, can you help me write these questions in the chat? Please answer these questions. When you're answering, version 1 will not be the final version, but begin with version 1 because it's better than version none. So first question is, who are you? The second question is, who do you help? The third question is, and it is applicable for employees as well, because when we are talking of building a personal brand on LinkedIn, a Harika can help other HR aspirants. A Harika can help communication, build better communication skills of different professionals on the platform. So you can, look at what are your strength areas and how you can spread, how you can share your knowledge that you have to help others. Okay, so similarly, who are you? Who do you help? How do you help them? And what do you help them with? It can be, what do you help them with and how do you help them? Now, most of the times I've seen people answering, who are you? Who do you help? And what do you help them with? But the how is a mysterious thing, which is where, I'm attracted towards you, but then I get away because there's a lot of ambiguity around how. So you have to answer these questions very categorically. So who am I? I'm a LinkedIn coach and consultant. Who do I help? I help professionals, SME business owners, trainers, coaches, freelancers. What do I help them? I help them achieve visibility, credibility, expert positioning on LinkedIn. How do I do that? By one to many trainings, the master classes that I host, and one on one consulting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, this is not my final version, also. I'll keep on improvising as I evolve. Your personal brand is evolving along with you. So don't make anything in your life sacrosanct कि ये profile बन गया है तो ये ऐसे ही रहेगा. Every 6 months you have to update. Now, once you get answers of these questions, you have to understand that from these answers, what are the keywords that people will put here. So, to answer your question, content writing, Ruben, would be something your clients would be typing in here. Am I correct?
Okay.
No, if they are looking out for content writing services which you offer, this is perhaps they would be writing on the search bar.
Yeah.
So, do you have content writing, content creation, all these keywords in your profile all across?
I hope I do.
No, so I'm just
illustrating. I'll have to check it. Yeah. So I'll have to. So I think that's a good point. Yes.
So this is how you have to look at it. You know,
Okay.
Keywords क्या है? Keywords वो हैं जिससे आप अपने आप को ढूंढवाना चाहोगे.
Okay.
So again, it boils down to reflect on the conversations that you've had with your previous existing or prospects or whatever that you've exercise that you've done to understand this is what you want to do in life. Now, who are your clients with respect to that? If they are looking out for a person like this, now if I am saying that image consultant, I'm not an image consultant, and if I'm writing an image consultant, definitely it will backfire. Even if my profile throws up in somebody's search and they reach out to me, I'm not an image consultant. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
you have to be very specific in terms of keywords. With respect to keywords, keep 2-3 things in mind. In terms of, have a couple of generic keywords. So your designation, suppose you're a founder or co-founder, these are very common generic keywords that people search on LinkedIn. Your niche or industry specific domain can become one of the generic keywords, and then you can have 1 or 2 keywords in your headline which is very, very specific to your niche. Now, there are different ways on headlines. I cannot go in detail here, but like this is one way of writing a headline, which is called as a customer facing headline, which means I specifically answer the question of my customer, helping professionals build their personal brand leveraging LinkedIn, period. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, you can have a customer facing headline, you can have an achievement headline, you can have different variants of headline. But the point is, you should have in the headline the keywords that you want yourself to be searched for. Reason, searchability. B, even before a person lands on your profile, there are 2 things that they see: your profile pic and your headline. So when you're commenting on anybody's post, when you're viewing anybody's profile, when you see here, people you may know. So if your profile pops up here, so what do you see? The profile pic and the headline. So even before anyone lands on your profile, there are a lot of touch points that your target audience may have with you. If you are not able to tap on those touch points, half the profile views is lost. And the whole objective of being on LinkedIn and eventually building your brand is you have to first invite them on your profile, engage them through your profile, influence them through your profile so they reach out to you in person. This is the process that works on LinkedIn. Now, if, okay, you posted a nice content, good for you, blah blah, if that is not translating into they looking at your profile and then they reaching out to you, what is the whole purpose? You're just becoming famous, you're not building a brand for yourself, generating, eventually getting into the zone of profitability. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now in your
So-
profile, there are, sorry.
Shweta, just a time check. We maybe another 5 minutes if you can wind up.
We can have another session where I talk in great detail about just the profile, because
Yes, I think that would be really helpful.
yeah, because profile is like doing up your home. So we get too busy inviting people, but we have not done up of our home. So obviously person will not keep
Yeah.
coming back.
So can we do a quick show of hands just to see if you would like to hold a session specifically on profile? So the hand in the center of the screen. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a lot of hands. So that would be great, Shweta. I think we'll probably schedule a session with you where you can actually do a deep dive into the profile and maybe give us insights on how, because I don't know, the other thing is that there are a lot of features that the paid version offers,
currently
and
also
many of us
we have-
don't have that.
Currently, very recent as of this week, we have also new features that have come up, and not many people like
Correct.
event organizing that you're doing right now on Google Meet, you can start doing on LinkedIn, wherein that event will reside in your profile all the time. People can watch it. You can actually create an audio event just like Clubhouse on LinkedIn. So all of this is recent features. Now when I take master classes, Ruben, it's usually a 4 hour or a 2 day or a 5 day kind of a thing. The reason being is
I understand.
yeah, profile is just one aspect of it. So if we are planning to go with the profile some point in time, people in the room and everybody in the community, I would request you to first give some thoughts around, how do you perceive yourself, how others perceive you, and how you want to perceive yourself as. These are 3 questions to summarize what we discussed. The second is, when you have decided, okay, this is how I want to project myself, very specifically try and get answers to who you are, who do you help, what do you help them with, and how do you help them. Now, obviously, as I said earlier, version 1 will not be as specific. Now, if you just summarize these 4 answers, it becomes your 30-second elevator pitch. This is very powerful. This should come, and when you actually build that statement for yourself, it comes very handy to talk about yourself in any medium. To, if you are having eventually offline networking meetups, introducing yourself becomes much easier. And share, if somebody says share a brief profile about you, this will be really powerful. So if you come with that homework, then we have a lot of keywords in hand. We understand, okay, different industry domains, and we can take some illustrations, and I can run you through the benefits of a powerful profile.
So thank you so much for this session, and thank you everyone for attending this session. Hopefully we'll have Shweta next month as well. We'll get back to you with the dates, and that session will specifically focus on how to create an impactful profile on LinkedIn.